So welcome back everyone to another incredible episode of Chat with Dad here for today on the show. What can I say? I'm already speechless. We haven't even started yet. We have the best way to start on Epic Tuesday because we have on the show the incredible, the amazing, the badass, the superstar, the legendary, the one and only Alyssa. Alyssa, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm great. How are you? Thank you so much for that incredible introduction. Oh my God, I'm flattered.
Absolutely. I'm doing super cool here. As I said here, what better way to start up an Epic Tuesday than to be chatting with someone as badass as you? So,
Thank you. I'm super excited to be here.
absolutely. Now, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow. It helps a lot. But also, on the description below, you're going to find all of Alyssa's social media. Let's follow her. Let's find out why she's super badass. We're on a mission right now. And without further more, let's jump in. So, I want to start this whole epic conversation by throwing out the very first question, which is, what initially drew you to start the journey? Was it like a specific moment in like an experience, or what was it that made you realize, you know what, this is where my journey begins now?
Yeah, I think it's actually funny because I feel like the journey was forced onto me by my best friend. I wanted to be a teacher in like the beginning of like elementary school, middle school, all that, just because my mom's a teacher. So I saw her and I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do. And my best friend in middle school was a theater kid. She had done it growing up ever since she was a kid, and she forced me to audition for the school play with her because she didn't want to do it by herself. And so I went in there and I was so nervous to perform in front of everyone, but I ended up having the loudest voice there. So I ended up getting cast as one of the leads my first try at it. And I think I got to pretend to spray someone with mace. It was a really like cheesy, like young show. I think it was called Every Babysitter's Worst Nightmare. But as soon as I got to get up on that stage and I heard people laughing or people like being shocked. There was like horror elements in it too. And just hearing that visceral reaction in real time on stage, I knew that that was what I wanted to do. So I would say, yeah, middle school, I think it was seventh grade when that play was when I kind of decided that would be my journey. And then I transitioned more into film and television when I got to USC in Los Angeles.
There you go. I love it. And once you
Yeah.
decided, okay, this is where all begins, you started to make like your first steps. But tell me, what were some of those first kind of challenges, right? As you were making those first steps into a pro career somehow.
Yeah. I would say that for the majority of my beginning in middle school and high school, there were challenges in the sense of I was still learning my craft. But I think the biggest challenges started when I got to college at USC, just because there's like a common like funny thing in the acting industry that everyone that moves to LA or New York is the best people from their high school. I don't think I was the best singer or actor, but I did do it a lot. And so I had a lot of experience in my hometown. But then coming to USC, I was then paired with people who had been on Nickelodeon shows, who had gone to summer camps and had done acting like their entire lives professionally. And so I think that was where I started to encounter more challenges, just more internal, even just having to battle with that and feeling like I was already behind, even just starting out in college. But something that I learned very quickly on was just that people start in different places, and that doesn't make you any better or any worse than anyone else. And I just really tried to embrace all that I could in college. And then I worked with people that I became friends with, and now I still, help run a production company where we make short films and feature films, and it's all just really about making things with your friends, and that's what I kind of quickly learned after getting to USC.
I love it. And do you still
Yeah.
remember that very first feeling of your first audition? Tell me, was it terrifying, exciting, or a complete disaster?
Oh, let me think of my first like actual audition. I think that would probably be the first real one where I had like a visceral fear was probably at USC. We had like theater productions, and of course we had like film and TV as well, but most of those are what's going to be a self-tape. So that takes away a lot of the pressure just because you get to be in your own room and you get to record as many times as you want until you get what you would consider to be the best take. But in my first audition, because of what I said before about feeling like I was behind everyone else, It was a very scary experience from what I remember because we would go in to the Bing Theater, which is like the big theater at USC, and it was this ginormous stage, just you. And then there was like six professors or seven professors in the audience just silently staring at you, waiting for you to begin. So I think I just had to take a deep breath and do my best. I'm pretty sure I forgot my line at some point and I had to take like a 10-second pause and then continue. But I'm proud of myself that I did it. I did not end up getting cast that round when I did, but that's kind of the way of the industry. I mean, I've auditioned for close to 500 things at this point since I started college. And I think if I do the math, I think I've booked about like 10 to 15% of them, which isn't bad. But I mean, as an actor, and I mean, even as an artist, you have to face rejection daily. So I think that was my first real rejection, but it was a great lesson.
And now that you mentioned rejection, tell me what is your usual process to not let, yeah, those kind of feelings, right? Because nobody likes being rejected. So how you like, what is your usual thing here to avoid those feelings to kind of affecting your daily life, basically?
In the beginning of my career, I saw every single opportunity as like a life or death thing, that it would change my life if I booked it. And I think over time, I've learned that while every audition is an opportunity to showcase like my take on it, it's not something that is going to make or break my career. And I definitely have had some auditions where it would be like for a series regular on like CW or something, and that really would change my life. And for those, once I submit the audition, I do any kind of ritual like going to get myself matcha or going out with my friends or having a phone call with my family just to try to get myself out of the mindset of being an actor for a few minutes. And that is helps with the transition of it. Just because if you put so much pressure into every single audition, that is usually when people end up leaving and when they end up dropping out of the industry because the rejection is so hard. It's hard not to take it personally because a lot of times we're being cast not just based off of our talent, but based off of how we look, if we're too tall or too brunette. And there's so many factors that you just can't even begin to consider what's happening on the other side of the casting table, that it's just easier just to let it go and, hope for the best. But if it doesn't happen, know that it's not a life or death scenario.
And during this whole downtime, right, between auditions, tell me how you stay creative.
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say right now I live in a house with five other people. And what we do is we run like a production company out of the house. So we have a lot of short films and features and things. And even when we're not filming, we're all consistently trying to write. I would say that writing is one of the more difficult things for me to get into, just because writing is 100% creative. If you're directing or you're acting, there's an element of business there and having to market yourself. But that's what I've been doing recently. I also try to focus on hobbies and my second job outside of it. Just to have something outside of acting actually ends up making you more creative, if that makes sense. So if I
Mhm.
go work at my restaurant job, then I come home and I'm like, okay, I've had my business for the day. Now I can, maybe work on playing guitar, or I can write something, or I can even watch a show or a movie, and that fulfills me creatively too.
What would you say that are some of your favorite shows at this point? Like right
Ooh,
now. If you could recommend me as
Severance.
a show, what would it be?
Yeah, Severance is my number one show. Ever since the first season came out, I became absolutely obsessed with it. Anything in the psychological thriller genre is just something that I'm drawn to. Yeah, Severance would be number one. Weirdly enough, Will Trent. I've been watching Will Trent a
Okay.
lot. It's something that my mom got me into, but I'm obsessed with kind of like Criminal Minds, that kind of show. And then Will Trent is that, and it adds comedic elements into it. So I think those are my two main shows, and I need to catch up on all of the new ones. I mean, The Bear and or The Last of Us. Those are all new seasons that have come out that I need to just catch up on. But my favorite show is definitely Severance.
Okay. And
Yeah.
what song would you say that could describe your career?
I actually think that my song would be something from a movie. It's not like a song that has lyric, but it's something that whenever I listen to it, I get emotional, and maybe that's why. And it's such a weird movie. It's from It Chapter 1, like the 2016 version. I think it's called Blood Oath, but it starts off very slow and sweet. And it just builds exponentially over time into something that just feels very powerful and visceral. And I think, at least so far, that's the way that my creative career has gone, is it starts out very slow. I went through a period of not booking anything, not getting to do acting unless I was making it happen myself. And just now this year, I'm getting to the point where I feel like I'm booking pretty consistently. I'm making the majority of my money from acting, which I'm incredibly grateful for. But I think the slow progression of that song hits me
Mm.
in terms of that. It's a very weird song choice, but I think that's what I would say.
I like it. I mean, the reason I ask you this is because recently I created this playlist called Melodies of the Journey, which is available on
Mm,
Spotify and Apple Music. And basically, with most of the actors that I've interviewed, I ask them, that question, and I managed to create a playlist of around 100 and I think 90 songs at that point, something like that.
that's so
And
cool.
and every song, it's basically with this question that which song could describe your career. And I mean, there's a lot of them. I will send it the link later to you, and also for those who are listening to it or watching this, the link is in the description below.
Perfect. Yeah, I'd love to hear it. I'm so interested. I feel like that's such like an interesting question. I got to hear all these songs.
All songs are there, which is pretty cool. And okay. So tell me, what would you say that it's one of the biggest misconceptions that people have about actors?
I would say for the actors that are in the industry working right now, I think that I feel like this is a very cliche thing to say, but genuinely like how difficult this industry really is, especially post-COVID, post-strike. There's a lot of productions that are moving out of Los Angeles, leaving a lot of actors and film production crew, writers, everyone leaving us in LA with not much to do unless we do it ourselves. But I think with actors specifically, a big misconception is that it's just, you go to an audition, and if you are right for the role and you're talented, you book it. When in reality, the majority of this industry is very network based and very based off of your own marketing skills and building your own brand. So that can mean writing out 200 agent emails and sending them out, but not just any agent. You have to do research on which agencies are relatively within your reach in terms of being an actor and how you're going to get your SAG vouchers, whether you're going to do background or you're going to get Taft-Hart lead, and which headshot photographer you're going to have and how you're going to present yourself to the world. I've had great headshots, I've had bad headshots, and they truly do have a say, I guess, in terms of how you get auditions or if you get auditions. So I guess I would say a huge misconception is how much of a business person you really have to be in order to be successful in the acting industry. Unless, of course, your parents are super famous.
Do you
Yeah.
think somehow social media sometimes will kind of make you question your value?
Absolutely. That's definitely something. And I mean, I think that's something that everyone that uses Instagram deals with. It psychologically affects you that way. But I think for actors, it's definitely a factor. Right now, I do both shorts and features, and I'm also working in the vertical format world, which is basically like soap operas for your phone. And I've noticed that in both worlds, sometimes Instagram followers can play a factor in if someone is cast. For the shorts and the feature worlds, if it's an independent filmmaker, working with someone who has a lot of Instagram followers or who is considered like famous can be huge for promoting their movie. And if someone with 2 million followers is good enough for the role, and then someone with 500 followers is good enough for the role, it's going to end up being better for their movie to promote it to go with the person who has more. And that doesn't always happen. And a lot of industry professionals say that that's not the case, but sometimes it is. And that's just one of the things we have to deal with. And then in the vertical world, it's kind of the same thing. You just sometimes you have people who have 2 million, and we're going to go with that person just because we want as many people as possible to see this film, which in retrospect makes sense, but it definitely does implement some fear, some feeling like you're not good enough if you don't have a certain amount of followers. But yeah, it's a constant battle that I think everyone who uses Instagram has to deal with.
In a world that constantly demands more from you, your talent, your success, how do you stay True, what truly matters.
I think the first thing that came to my mind is I know you can't see it very well, but I'm from Kansas City, Missouri, and I have a wall where I have a lot of like howdy, ass kicking boots, like a bunch of posters that just like bring me back to home because a lot of what I was taught at home is just that Midwestern slash Southern hospitality of just being nice to people. And of course, like most people that I meet here are wonderful and nice, but there's a specific type of hospitality that I try to implement in every person that I meet. And I think that would be it, just to stay as connected to my hometown, to my family as I possibly can. I call my parents like pretty much every single day, just even if it's for like 2 minutes to say hi and see their face. Just connecting myself to home and to my family definitely keeps me very grounded. Yeah.
I like it. I'm getting this badass vibes here. I'm starting to get it why you're super badass. You know what I mean?
Aw. Thank
Yeah.
you.
In your experience, do you think that burnout usually is kind of a sudden crash or a slow build-up?
I would say it's a slow build up for me at least. I think I've seen it happen both ways with people, but for me, I am the type of person that if I take a day off, and this goes with social media as well. If anyone takes a day off and you open Instagram and you see all of these hundreds of people doing so many different things, it's kind of hard to let yourself relax. So if you go so long without it, then for me, it's a gradual progression of my room starts to get a little messy. And then I stop going to the gym as frequently as I do. And then maybe I'm starting to eat out more often than cooking. So for me, it's a very gradual progression. But then when it gets to the actual burnout, it usually takes me a week or two to get out of it. So how I try to combat that is if I start seeing my room start to get a little dirty or something, then I try to take a day or two just to be like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to wake up, go to the gym, get myself a fun drink, and I'm going to clean my room and we're going to reset. And so I think when you start to notice those first signs, that's when I try to be like, okay, we're approaching burnout. Let's take a second and fix this before it gets really bad. Because that's how it works for me. But for some people, it comes out of nowhere. And I genuinely don't know how people deal with that because for me at least there's a couple of warning signs. But that's how I would say I would deal with it. I light a candle, I get myself a fun drink, and I clean or I play a video game or I do whatever I can to reset my brain to let it relax a little bit.
I mean, it's challenging, right? Whenever you have like those feelings and those, yeah, it's challenging for sure. And it's important, have discovered that it's important to take care of yourself. It's okay. At the end of the day, it's a journey. It's gonna take time. If you have like this mentality of go, go, go all in and all of that, sure it might work, but at some point you're gonna crash because at the end of the day, your body needs some rest, and that's just part of the day because we're humans. And it's just the way it is. So I do think, and I agree that the more you accept that and the more you learn more about yourself and your limit, the better you are going to be able to perform generally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. Yeah.
Cool. And tell me, looking back, what is something you wish someone had kind of warned you about when you were just getting started into this whole business?
I think the main thing would be I wish that I learned sooner that the majority of the time when you don't book something as an actor, it is never because of your talent. It's never because you're not a good actor. And now I've done casting now, so I really like have this implemented in me now. It more often than not is because the director knows someone that they think would be a better fit for the role. Or I literally just cast a production, and part of the reason, it wasn't the main reason, the person that we cast was like perfect for it. But when we were seeing auditions, we were like, oh, this person looks way too much like the lead because they have brown hair. And it genuinely can be as simple as that. Like the majority of the time, 98 to 99% of the time, why we don't cast someone is not because they're not talented. It's solely just because they don't fit what we need. And that could be in part of a director wanting someone else or looking too much like the lead or there's just so many different reasons, but I wish that I had known sooner that it wasn't on my talent if I didn't book something. It was for a myriad of other reasons.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the, yeah, I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
More badass. There you go. You're stepping up.
Leveling
That's
up.
good.
I love
There you go.
it.
And every actor has a moment in which they think, should I keep going?
Yeah.
So, did that ever happen to you, and what pulled you back?
It's weird to say it happens consistently. I mean, like it, and I feel like for a lot of actors, we all go through phases of what if I mean, that scene in La La Land with Emma Stone saying like maybe I'm not good enough. It happens a lot because there is so much rejection. It is such a difficult industry. But genuinely, what has always helped me and pulled me back out of it is just having a community of other actors. For me, that's both my roommates who do acting and directing and writing, but also my acting class. I've found like such a home and a family with them. And it gets to the point where on birthdays, we bring each other cupcakes or cakes. And then if one of us is going through a family thing or a breakup, we are like, okay, let's go out and get drinks or let's go see a movie. So just having a community of people with you who know what you're going through and can empathize with that has really helped me. Just because if I'm going through it and I'm feeling like I'm not good enough, I have six or seven other people that aren't going through it and can tell me that it is going to get better and I can get through it. And then when they're down, then we can help them. And it's kind of just having people around you that know exactly what you're going through and can help you out of it has really helped me.
Mm. So basically, community, right?
Yeah, it's so important.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
When you step into a new character, tell me, for you, is it more like putting on a mask, or perhaps a little bit of peeling back layers of yourself?
I think it depends on the character for sure. There is a character that I played for a couple of years in a bunch of different movies, uh, named Azalea, and it's kind of like in a zombie apocalypse world, but she's helped me discover things about myself. And that is a character that I hold very close to my heart in that way. And then there are some other characters that are so far away from me. It does kind of feel like putting on a mask, but even when I do that, I end up finding things in which were in ways that were similar. So I would say that it's closer to that of like peeling back layers of myself. Like if I have a really mean character, a really awful bully, I usually feel like in the beginning I'm putting on a mask, but no bully is ever the way that they are just to be mean. Usually there's like some level of hurt there or vulnerability there, and usually that I can find and connect to that person in that way.
Hmm. I
Yeah.
mean, at the end, no, nobody thinks it's a feeling of their own story, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty cool. Pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
And
yeah.
at this point, what has been like the wildest thing, let's say, that you have done to prepare for a role?
Ooh. There was for that same character, Azalea, there is a scene where I had to walk into a warehouse and my fiance, or well, I guess technically boyfriend at that point in the script, was like brutally murdered in front of me. And I just walk in on his corpse. And then because it's a zombie apocalypse movie, he comes back to life as a zombie and I have to kill him. Which whenever I read the script, I looked at it and I was like, I have no idea how I'm going to play this because as a human, as me, Alyssa, I've never been through that amount of grief. I mean, I've had family members that have passed and things like that, but never to that extent. And then having to like re-murder the person that you love most in the world. So what I did was I just did a lot of research on movies and TV shows surrounding grief. And the thing that actually helped me the most was the scene in Midsommar in the very beginning, where Florence Pugh's character finds out that her entire family was like died at the hands of her sister, I think. I think her sister killed them and then committed suicide. But just the visceral and raw reaction of Florence Pugh like screaming on the floor really helped me kind of get into the mindset of what it would genuinely feel like to lose the person closest to you. And I just remember that entire day, I was in such a, not a sour mood, but just such a melancholic one of just feeling the pre-grief. And that was a very hard day as an actor for me. I felt so drained after the performance, but I think it was worth it just because the performance I'm very happy with. I felt like I channeled that like raw reaction, especially post having to kill him again. But yeah, that's what I would say is probably the craziest thing I've had to do to prepare for a
Okay.
character.
And how you usually decompress, right? After an intense scene like that, what is your process to kind of return to be the real you, let's say?
I think it depends on the day. Some days I think I would consider myself an ambivert. Some days I need other people to be around to be calm. That day specifically, we were filming in South Dakota, so we were all living under the same roof for that period of filming. And I remember I think, played Super Smash Bros. And like got pizza or something like that. We like all kind of chilled out together. And I think we stayed up until 3 or 4 in the morning, just like talking and being with each other. And then there are some days where I'm on set for other projects where all I need to do is come home, take a hot shower, light a candle, eat dinner, and not talk to anyone for the rest of the night. So I think it really does depend on maybe the vibe of the scene that I'm doing and how intense it is, and also just if I'm in a more extroverted or introverted mood that day.
Okay. And have you ever found yourself kind of accidentally becoming one of your characters in real life?
I think post that Azalea scene, I did take on some of her grief accidentally. I did sit with the thought of my family or the people closest to me passing in a very brutal way, and it did affect me for I think a couple months afterwards. I hadn't really figured out my process for separating them. So I think that was a bad experience that I've had with that. But I've also had good ones. I myself can be a little bit more shy, a little bit more anxious just as a human being. But I've played characters before, especially when I get to play a villain or even a protagonist who's just very boisterous and very like ready to show the world who they are. I've ended up becoming more confident in myself, and I've noticed myself, if I get the wrong meal at a restaurant, not being rude about it, but just politely saying like, "Hi, this isn't what I ordered. I'm so sorry. Can I get the other one?" So I've noticed in a good way myself taking on the confidence of some of the characters that I play. So yeah, there's pros and cons to them both, but I think overall I've taken good things from my characters.
Mm, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
What's something about being an actor that no one ever talks about, but absolutely they should?
I think how cathartic it is. What was I talking about? I was talking to like one of my old professors and a roommate of mine about how you can sometimes use a character's grief to release what you're going through. It's a very cathartic feeling, and it's very rare that it happens fully. But there's been, I think, 3 or 4 times in my career where I've been acting and my brain has just gone silent with like all of Alyssa's thoughts, and it's fully taken on the role of whatever character I'm playing, and it's kind of like an out of body experience. I've never like been on hallucinogenics, but I assume that's what it could only feel like in terms of just truly having such an out of body experience and then coming back into yourself. It's like you almost like have to breathe yourself as a person back in. That sounds very woo woo, but it's the only way that I can describe it. But it's just I think I did one of the times that it happened was I was doing a scene where my character was confessing that they loved the person in front of them. And it, for me personally, I've always been the person to say I love you first. That's always the way that it's been. It's always been me first. And so doing that scene felt very similar to things that I've felt before, but I was able to deal with that anxiety in a way that wasn't Alyssa's. It was the characters. And I almost felt like I breathed myself back in after it finished, but I didn't remember doing it, if that makes sense. It's a very out of body experience, but it's very meditative. It
Mm.
feels like you've woken up from a really nice nap at the end of it.
Hey, who doesn't love naps? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. I love it. That's pretty cool. I'm getting it now. I'm like 80% now discovering why you're super badass. 85.
We're
Absolutely.
so close.
Absolutely. We're so close. We're so close here. And for that, we're jumping into my next session, which is rapid fire speed question, yes or no, or pass. So basically,
Okay.
I'm just gonna ask you 10 speed up questions. You can say yes, no, or maybe pass. Who knows?
Okay.
Let's find out. You ready?
Okay. Yes.
Cool. So, starting out, have you ever cried after an audition?
Yes.
Can you separate personal pain from a performance?
No.
Do you enjoy watching your own work?
Yes.
Have you ever turned down a role you now wish you took?
Yes.
Can you cry on cue?
No.
Do you believe typecasting still defines careers?
Yes.
Have you ever walked out of an audition on purpose?
No.
Do you still get nervous before going on set?
Absolutely, yes.
Have you ever improvised something that made it into the final cut?
Yes.
And would you play a character that scares you?
Yes.
There you go. Super, super easy.
Yay!
Cool.
That was so
I mean,
fun.
yeah. And in general, like what motivates you? We all have those days that basically we just want to quit. It's inevitable, happens to all of us. So how you stay motivated on a day that those feelings kind of are hunting you down, let's say.
Yeah, I would say something that motivates me is just like I was talking about before, that cathartic feeling, just the ability to continue doing what I love so much. I also work in the restaurant industry, but it is nothing compared to the joy that I feel when I'm on set and just acting and getting to be with everyone and laughing in between takes. It's not even just the acting part, it's just the life of being on a set is just something that motivates me every day and makes me want to do all that I can to get back to that, even if that is just one day on set for 4, 6 months, whatever, of hard work. It's all just about, it's kind of like chasing a high, but the high is just being on set and getting to have so much fun. It's not just the acting part, but it's just meeting new people and getting to get your hair and makeup done is always cool and all that jazz.
And
Yeah.
what do you think the 12-year-old version of yourself would think about you right now?
I think she'd be pretty proud of me. I definitely think that my 12-year-old self and even my 18-year-old self thought that I would be, everyone thinks that they're gonna like make it immediately. I think that maybe they would like a past version of myself would be like, oh, you're not there yet, but that's okay, you'll get there. But I think in terms of making a living as an actor right now and having a team of representatives that like help me get auditions, like she would be incredibly proud of where I'm at right now.
What would you say that is your definition of success right now?
I think that my definition of success is what I'm doing right now is just making a living acting. I still have my side job just because I'm careful and I know that, anything can happen at any point. But I think fully making a living off of acting and doing projects and meeting people that I love would be the definition of success for me.
Okay. Okay. We're at 99% of discovering why you're super badass. We're almost there. Almost there. Which goes
Love it.
to my last question. What would you say that would be the best title for this episode?
I would say like the journey to becoming the best artist you can be. Maybe something like that. Because we've gone from the beginning of acting and the beginning of what made me want to do it all the way to what makes a successful person. So I would say that. That was a good question.
I like it. Sounds
Yeah.
like a sounds like a franchise to me. Who knows?
Yeah, I love it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I mean, at the end, what can I say? It's incredible what you do. I love it. The fact that you are doing something outside the typical box. We all know that sometimes it could be a little bit a pain in the butt, but you're showing out there. You are making it happen. I think the most beautiful thing about this is that besides giving us cool content, you're also showing that dreams are possible. And I think that is a really positive message that we should all be paying attention, especially now in this era that suddenly we want to kill each other. The fact that we can rely on someone like you who is doing something fun to it, that is amazing. And now I discover why you're super badass.
Thank you. My heart, this was so much fun. You asked incredible questions. This was such a good time.
Thank you. Thank you so
Of
much. Thank you
course.
so much for being here. I do want to thank also those who stayed the whole episode. Now, let us know what you think in the comments below. But by this point, come on. You should know why Alyssa is super badass. So let's make her viral. Hashtag Team Alyssa. By the way, you're going to find her social media in the description. So go follow her. And again, Alyssa, thank you for making this happen. Keep shining out there. Keep rocking. Keep kicking ass. Keep doing what you do. It's amazing. And I'll be definitely seeing you in the next one.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right.